That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Mold sweet potatoes around the marshmallow halves. Shape each into a ball and roll in additional crushed cornflakes. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking each other online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
And we tried to kill the conversation last week as we were doing the podcast.
Well, I would say that a combination of whatever was ailing you and my bronchitis was definitely killing the conversation.
It was killing the conversation. Usually these episodes go pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
With minimal editing. And we had an episode that when we finished it, we both were questioning whether it would air.
Yeah, well, you earned your money on the editing, on the sound engineering job last week.
Well, but we had one that disappeared. So the one that we had in question that just did not go very well didn't save. Either I recorded over it inadvertently or it didn't save.
And it took us 15 minutes to record that episode with all the hacking and coughing.
And we were on the fence about whether we were going to use that episode or not.
Right.
But we're going to redo that episode tonight.
We got some good information.
And we're back on track.
We're back in the saddle, baby.
Better than ever. And also, we need to confess a couple things. One, 2 episodes ago, and I Need a Lift, that episode was our emergency episode, which we have never had to use before. But we had to use it that weekend. And so this was an episode we recorded that didn't have any time references in it. So if we ever had to use it, we would use it.
It was probably about 8 months old.
It was probably about 8 months
old. But I tell you what, the belted man lift, it's a timeless subject.
It's a timeless subject. But I have to make a factual correction in that episode.
Okay.
If you remember in that episode, I said I climbed a 100-foot ladder.
100 foot. That's tall. That's 10 stories.
That's 10 stories. During the episode, knowing that I had exaggerated, I subtracted 30 feet from it.
All right. So
now we're down to 70 feet.
7 stories.
Yes. 2 things happened simultaneously. I looked up a picture of that ladder and realized that it was shorter than in my memory.
Okay. And how old were you when all this was going down?
Probably 16, 17.
See, that's the thing. When you're younger, things just seem bigger.
That's right. And then my brother called me and said, it's probably only 40 feet max to the top of that.
Oh, man.
I'm not even sure if he was giving me 30 feet. I'm going to go with now 40 feet to the top of the ladder.
Okay, all right. 40.
It was a cage ladder.
4 stories.
4 stories up.
It would still, you would still be damaged if you fell.
It's still a long way up. And I did reference leaning back against the cage to rest. My brother also said you did not lean back. You might have leaned back against the cage to test it, but there was no reason really to rest on the 40-foot climb. But the rungs were made out of pipe. And they do kind of disappear in your hands after a while. Like
they're real skinny.
Yeah, real skinny. By the time you get to the top of 40 feet, you're not feeling much anymore.
Why do they make such a crucial piece of safety gear out of such thin, uncomfortable material? I would want wide steps.
Yeah.
So it would be, there's no question, I'm not going to slip.
Some diamond plate or something that grabs you.
Something with some substance, not just, some pencil-sized tubes.
Yes, so there you go. There's your 2. And also, speaking of engineering, things like ladders, Happy Engineer Week.
I had no idea. This could be another episode. The fact that there is a week.
I saw it on LinkedIn.
Was it LinkedIn?
People were wishing each other happy
Engineers are wishing each other.
Engineers are wishing. Hey, and Chris, Happy Engineer Week, man.
Hey, Happy Engineer Week, Chris.
He's a rocket engineer. Okay. He will send me a text correcting that he is not a rocket engineer, that he works on weapon systems.
Ah, yes.
All right. So tonight's episode comes to us from a caller. So we've got the question coming up. We're going to play it for you now.
Hello, That Don't Sound Right. This is Brian from Swanee. I am a first-time caller, and I have an issue that I don't think it sounds right. Recently, I was visiting North Carolina, Tabor City. They were having a Yam Festival, and I noticed that the sweet potato was their mascot. I know that there are two different things, and I don't think that sounds right.
All right. So the question is basically, what is the difference between sweet potatoes and yams? And why does the Yam Festival in North Carolina, in Tabor City, North Carolina, have a sweet potato as its mascot? And also, we don't grow yams in North Carolina.
Well, that's one of the questions. That's something we had to do a little research, and in keeping with our February pact that we, instead of Googling it for really anything, we were going to ask somebody first.
So
ask them a question.
Ask someone in the North Carolina ag system, a friend of ours.
Okay.
She gives us two facts.
So she works in the extension. Okay, so she's legit.
She's legit. She said sweet potatoes are in the morning glory family.
Okay.
And yams are in the tomato potato family.
All right.
There's your first fact, Peter.
Well, so this is not helping.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never eaten a morning glory.
I've seen a morning glory.
Do morning glories have fruit? Like these big?
I don't know.
Puffs of fruit that grow in the ground?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So that's what she said. The sweet potatoes
are in the morning glory family. Yams are in the tomato potato family. I think we've also established that yams are native to South America. Did you tell me that last week?
I have some information.
Okay. Peter came loaded for bear tonight.
So, there's the other way we can just put this to rest is we can look it up.
Right.
But
tertiary source.
Let's look it up a fun way. We also have another source. Mm-hmm. So James, he contacted us through the super secret text hotline. He says he believes a yam is defined as an edible, starchy tubular of a climbing plant. So that goes along with the. Yeah. I don't realize potatoes. I thought potatoes grew on the ground. I didn't realize that a vine.
They grow in the ground. They grow underground.
Right.
But it's a vine. The bush is a vine.
But the tomato grows on a vine out on the above ground.
It does grow above ground.
Do potatoes have vines then?
Yeah, potato vines.
Okay.
But the potato is underground.
But that's a yam.
A yam is in the potato tomato family.
Right,
yes.
right.
And the
sweet potatoes in morning glory. But does a sweet potato also grow underground?
Yes.
So I'm not getting it. So because morning glory is also a vine.
Yes.
With its fruit underground.
Yes.
A yam is a vine with its fruit underground. I'm no closer to the solution.
And just to interject, I have read that the Yam Festival is named that for promotional reasons. It is sweet potatoes that are at the Yam Festival, and the mascot of the Yam Festival is a sweet potato.
And that's what don't sound right.
And I've been down to a big sweet potato farm in that area in Cerro Gordo.
So James says, growing up in the South, I always heard these referred to as sweet potatoes until they were cooked in a frying pan. At that point, they're the yam.
Well, now we know that might be a colloquial thing.
That might be, that's right.
But the sweet potato, and the yam proper are in two different
species.
Familiars.
And he says that, yes, they're grown here. And at one time, North Carolina led the nation in sweet potato production.
Still do.
Are we still number one?
Still number one.
All right.
So you've got tertiary sources.
So I got some other sources I think that are going to be helpful in the discussion. Okay. But I also have some sources that confuse the discussion.
Because in some of our research on this, we have seen yams, canned sweet potatoes, and canned sweet potatoes and yams with both on the label.
Right. Both
names
in a light syrup.
Both in a light syrup.
All right, so let's go.
Wait a minute. How do you say syrup?
Syrup.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, syrup.
How we dog?
Syrup. We've also.
Syrup.
So I'm gonna bring out the Fanny Farmer Cookbook.
Fanny Farmer Cookbook.
So this book, it's very thick. Actually, it has 1,200 pages, and this is the first time it's ever been in the paperback edition. by Marion Cunningham. And it's a tradition of good cooking for a new generation of cooks. All right?
All right.
So if you look it up, if you go down there and you find about sweet potatoes, there's a section on sweet potatoes.
So Peter has a physical book.
I'm reading a physical book.
This is not the internet.
So there are two kinds of sweet potatoes. A light-colored, dry sweet potato, and the sweeter, more common, deep orange, moist type, generally referred to as a yam.
Huh.
Uh-huh. And then it says, choose medium or small yams that are smooth and tapered at each end. Sweet potatoes or yams don't keep more than 2 weeks. Store them in a very cool, dark place. So she points out here that there's a distinct difference between a yam and what it looks like.
Right.
And what the sweet potato looks like, that the sweet potato is a light colored.
Right.
And a yam is this orange color. And I think you and I are used to the orange colored.
Yes.
Right?
But I would say that what I'm used to is a sweet potato. I don't think I've ever had a yam.
But I mean, what color is when you have whatever you've been eating, what color is it? Is it the dark orange?
It's a dark orange.
Yeah. And so she's saying that's a yam.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. And but therein lies the confusion. This book does not bring clarity.
Fanny has brought more questions
than answers. Now I bring out to you the Food Lover's Companion, comprehensive definitions of over 4,000 food, wine, and culinary terms. Second edition, Sharon Tyler Herbst, of the Baron's Cooking Guide.
All right.
She'll
clear it up early.
I think this book brings more clarity.
Good.
All right.
Because we know we're dealing with two separate things. There is a sweet potato and there is a yam.
But at first, you wouldn't think so.
Right.
Everything, because what we do in North Carolina has confused things.
Yes.
What Fanny Farmer cookbook has done has confused things. What all the cans in the grocery stores have confused things.
It's big potato, man.
Hannah went to set us straight.
Okay.
And let me tell you what this says here. Yam.
The second archive is being opened.
All right, so we'll start with the yam.
Okay.
This thick tropical vine tuber is popular in South and Central America.
That's the yam.
This is the yam, the West Indies, and parts of Asia and Africa. Although sweet potatoes and yams are similar in many ways, and therefore often confused with one another, they are from different plant species. In the southern United States, sweet potatoes are often called yams, and to add to the confusion, canned sweet potatoes are frequently labeled yams. Right? True yams, however, are not widely marketed and are seldom grown in the United States, which says what you said. You've never had a yam. You haven't, because this is what this says.
Right.
Though they can be similar in size and shape to sweet potatoes, yams contain more natural sugar and have a higher moisture content. On the downside, they're not as rich in vitamins A and C as sweet potatoes. Over 150 species of yam throughout the world. They can range from size to a small potato to monsters, 7.5 feet long and 120 pounds.
So Fanny Farmer leads us a little afield with her description.
Fanny Farmer.
I think she is actually describing a sweet potato.
She described, in both instances, she described a sweet potato. Yeah, that's right.
So this proves in North Carolina, we grow sweet potatoes. We're number one producer.
Yep.
And the Yam Festival is actually a sweet potato festival.
It is sweet potato festival.
And represented by a sweet potato.
They really should have the yam as the mascot.
They either should have a yam as the mascot, but then again, the thing they're celebrating is actually sweet potatoes.
That's right. There's no, so Brian is correct. That don't sound right. There's no reason for a yam festival to have a sweet potato as a mascot or vice versa.
Exactly.
But what about the sweet potato?
What about it?
This large edible root belongs to the morning glory family.
Yes.
Tropical areas of the Americas. There are many varieties of sweet potatoes, but the two that are widely grown commercially are a pale sweet potato and the darker skinned variety Americans erroneously call yam.
So this is the Food Lover's Companion.
I'm telling you, what a great book.
This was written by Sharon Herbst.
That's a great book.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon.
Cleared it
But
up.
did you know about the pale sweet potato has a thin, light yellow skin and a pale yellow flesh. Its flavor is not sweet after it's been cooked. and it's dry and crumbly, much like a white baking potato.
I have had that kind of sweet potato.
Have you?
I've had both sweet potatoes.
No, that is very good information.
I've never had a yam before.
Where have you had the pale sweet potato?
I think they grew them around my grandparents' house, and we would have them.
I have not been able to. I have not located this thing.
I've seen those paler. At some point in my life, I've seen them. I could not tell you where, but I know that I have.
So this shed some very good light on the whole situation.
I also climbed a 100-foot ladder in my youth.
Well, we got problems. We got problems with your storytelling. So the darker variety has a thicker, dark orange skin and a vivid orange, sweet flesh that cooks to a much moister texture.
I'm going to activate the swamp line on this.
Swamp line?
Yeah, my cousins, if you are listening, you need to weigh in on this. I am pretty sure I've eaten both types of these sweet potatoes.
Okay.
The drier, whiter sweet potato and the darker orange sweet potato. I know I've eaten the darker orange. We all have eaten that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we've had that other type.
I'd love to hear some more information on that one.
I'm gonna say we've got. I'm gonna put the call out to the cousins. I think some of them will have eaten that same sweet potato.
But this is a great book. It has a lot of other things.
It's an excellent book.
Ask me a cooking food or drink definition. Ask me something.
Any question about foods?
Try it.
Does it define pastas?
Let's go.
See if it has the different kind of pastas in it.
Let's go. It's in alphabetical order.
We need a more serious question now. Ask us any food question you've got, because we've got a tertiary authority on it now.
Yeah. It says see also. Anelli, Bevatine, Bucatini, Calderone. I mean, yeah, look at the list of all the pastas it's got.
Oh, nice.
And I think, let's go look it up.
It's like a medical reference.
It is kind of like that.
Where'd you get that?
It was on Bunny's shelf in their kitchen.
Huh.
It's just right next to the sink in our kitchen.
I'll be there. You've had a wealth of knowledge sitting right next to you in your house. You could have solved this weeks ago.
I could have. I could have. But we did have fun. Part of the fun was in just, the hunt. So yeah, for every one of those pasta names, it does have a list of fettuccine, for instance.
Huh.
It'll describe it.
I think we need to go to the Yam Festival this year with a microphone and just see how many people can tell us the difference between a yam and a
that
sweet
would be
potato.
an unbelievable YouTube video.
That really would. Ask them, just go at people and say, are you eating a sweet potato or are you eating a yam?
And then ask them, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Well, they're the same. Excellent. Now, this particular episode would not be complete if we did not revive an episode from the past.
What's that?
Episode number 70, Hold the Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that episode?
Unfortunately, yes.
So those that are new or need a refresher, Hold the Mayo is episode number 70. You can go back and look in our archives. But it's when I brought out some of the old Southern cookbooks from Southern churches.
Yes.
And these are the recipes submitted to the church. The church would make this big cookbook. They would sell it as a fundraiser.
A lot of molds.
A lot of
molded
mayonnaise.
Fruits
a lot of
mayonnaise.
aspic.
Yes.
A lot of Jell-O.
Yes.
Well, I would like to present you a sweet potato recipe.
Sweet potato aspic.
Okay. All right. So I'll read this to you. So it's got
mayonnaise in it.
It calls for potatoes, sweet potatoes, calls for broken pecans, some crushed cornflakes.
So far, so good.
Flour, sugar, milk, ground cinnamon, vanilla, baking powder, large marshmallows, halved in cooking oil.
Mm.
So you peel, slice, and boil the potatoes. Drain well, mash until smooth. Add remaining ingredients except the marshmallow and oil and mix well. Chill for easier handling. Mold sweet potatoes around the marshmallow halves. Shape each into a ball and roll in additional crushed cornflakes.
I was with you right up until they rolled it, and man,
I forgot to tell you that
it went off the rails quick.
I forgot one of the ingredients was bourbon to taste.
Oh, well, at least so.
And then, as a friend of mine would point out, that was a perfectly good waste of bourbon.
Maybe you kept the bourbon and drank it after you ate it.
Yeah, bourbon to wash away the taste.
Well, Brian, I hope we have cleared up your yam sweet potato question, and you can confidently walk into Tabor City next year to the festival.
Maybe we'll walk in, and maybe we'll walk in with you with a video camera, and we will at least ask folks about what they think they're eating at that particular time. And I guess the other homework for you, Cecil, is to find this mystery light-colored sweet potato.
I think I can do that. I think I can do that. All right. It don't sound right, but you have come to the end of this episode, which we're very happy that we were able to do.
We pulled it off.
We pulled it off. We're back, Peter.
Before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating. Leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
Speaking of that, I read through the comments that have been left about our podcast on Apple.
Yeah.
And there have been some really nice comments.
They have been.
Really
Thanks,
nice
everybody.
comments. Thanks, everybody.
Keep it up. It's, we did have a big bump we had about I want to say about a 50% bump in listenership last week.
We did. It was really good. Also, we had an orthodontist write us in and leave a nice comment about our dog orthodontist.
Oh, he was an orthodontist?
He's an orthodontist.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, that's great.
So that was really, he left that comment on LinkedIn today.
I gotcha.
So every time you do that, every time you leave a comment or like it, it helps other people find us. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TSR podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and web designer. Camille is your barista, and she made some fine coffee for us tonight. Emily does your graphic design. Ella does your Instagram. Giorgio tests your merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. As always, listener one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.